Welcome to Lights Out, a podcast on agonies and glories that keep you human. Many of us are familiar with the phrase beauty from ashes. It brings to mind a sense of comeback, of finding something good in the midst of so much evil. Some of us have learned to respect this season, while some have succumbed to despair and even death. Grief is just one of the many ashes that most of us have in our plate in this time of pandemic. There's crime, illness, death of loved ones, shattered hope, and broken dreams. But there is another form of grief that most of us don't consider we experience, nor realize it is taking place. They are called disguised grief. Let me just name a few: bitterness, regret, and long-standing hurt. Joan Rosenberg said, and I quote, "When you move through grief and really heal the grief, including disguised grief, you open yourself up to forgiveness, to happiness, to a healthier life, and much more joy." End quote. About a decade ago, I carelessly tossed aside the gaze of a person who seemed interested to know me. Without saying anything, he spoke volume every time he would ask me out, make me feel that my thoughts matter, send random text messages early mornings, and publicly write about how he feels on my posts on social media. Almost everybody in the community we were in teased us. He did not realize that with all that he was doing, my walls, one by one, started to cave in. And when I was about to open myself up to him and knock down the enclosure in my heart, he suddenly pulled away. And just like that, I was gone. I did not understand why. Up to this day, I don't know why. It felt like someone just snatched the creamiest cake on my plate that I just had a small bite of. My female heart cried deep inside, but my queen bee mind tells me I need to have a good head on my shoulders. The last decade kept that part of my heart a little rusty. That unspoken dimension of grief led me to regrets and doubts. I regretted that I did not respond well. I regretted that I opened myself up too slowly. Later on, I grew bitter toward the person. I was bitter at him for rocking the boat, offering me with nothing when the boat tipped over. Little did I know, the long-standing hurt was a disguised grief which I kept ignoring and did not bother addressing. For the longest time, I kept that grief experience uncovered. With the help of a mentor, a counselor, I learned that in order to uncover grief, it takes knowing what you are grieving about. It involves grieving over what you got but did not deserve. For me, it was when he suddenly pulled away. It left me hanging. Uncovering grief also involves grieving over what I deserve but didn't get. An explanation maybe, or the fortuity to be pursued and be known. It means grieving over the nurturance or admiration that I have not received. Another is grieving over what never was. Maybe there never was admiration or attraction to begin with. Unrequited, I suppose. Uncovering grief also involves grieving over what is not now and what may never be. This might be grieving over someone saying something to me that I wished he had said but just never comes. Now, all I do as part of the grieving process is to reflect on the memories. Taking time with the memory will eventually help me see the details, understand, even for just a bit. Whatever it is that caused you grief, it surely wrung your heart. Grief, when uncovered, leads to freedom. Freedom to forgive yourself for what you did or did not know. Freedom to forgive yourself for what you did or did not do. Freedom to forgive others for what they did or did not know. And freedom to forgive others for what they did or did not do. The deeper truth that shines through every bit of these is this: Christ came to set us free. Christ came to bring hope. Christ came to bring beauty from ashes. He never intends for us to stay stuck in our sin, pain, or deep sorrow. He heals and restores. He calls us onward. He reminds us that in Him we have great purpose and hope. Name your ashes one by one as you would name every blessing you have received. And when you do, claim Christ's redemption and newness and ask Him to sweep away the ashes so that you can start anew. Take a day off or spend an afternoon with Jesus and lay down at His feet. The ashes that you so want to be removed from your heart in exchange for newness and peace of mind, in exchange for rest and calmness, in exchange for beauty. Daniel and the people had suffered under captivity. He prayed to God on behalf of his people that God would have mercy. He repented and confessed his own sin, his deep need for Him. He knew where true strength and help came from. If this episode of Lights Out touched your core, share it with your friends and invite them over next Friday at midnight. Feel free to reach out.